All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning to everyone. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday so far. My name is Micah Matthews. I am one of the marketing directors here at Messer Financial Group, and I am very excited to announce a new partnership that we just added to our catalog of carriers, and that is our partnership with NGL, otherwise known as National Guardian Life. We have three representatives from National Guardian Life joining us today. Carl Wackerly, he is the Vice President of Individual Life and Annuities Department over there at NGL. We also have Sean Donahue. He is Partner Support Coordinator. And Bob Basulik, he is the Marketing Executive as well. So very pleased to introduce those guys as well. With the market, the Medicare market going the way it is, we want to always try to add products that we think would fit that kind of market and also bring value to our agents, which is why we are excited to bring National Guardian on with us. So their expertise is final expense and trust, and you'll find out through the presentation just how competitive they are and where they can fall into just about every Medicare or senior client that you currently have already. So this is just another added benefit, bringing value to you and also building that relationship with your clients and also benefiting your clients as well. So again, we're very excited about this. Should take about an hour. If you have any questions, we do have our question. You can type them into the dialogue over there, and then at the end of the webinar, we will go over that and answer any questions that you guys may have. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to NGO and kick back, relax, and enjoy. Guys, all
Thank
yours.
you, Micah. All right. This is Carl Wackerly. I am the Vice President of Individual Life and Annuity Sales with National Guardian. I joined the company back in 2000, and it's been quite a ride. And what we'd like to do first is kind of give you an overview of the company, because I'm pretty confident a lot of you are not familiar with us, and that's okay. We're going to make you familiar with us. And then we'd like to talk about what we think the opportunity is. Bob and I are both going to share that little section of the presentation. We're going to talk about the concept that we're trying to offer to you and to your clients, which will include talking about the trust, which Mike has already mentioned, the product itself that goes into the trust. And then Sean's going to tell you a little bit about the support that you can expect to receive from National Guardian Life. So Sean, if we can, if we can get started, let's talk about who is NGL. We've been around a long time. We began back in 1909. We sold our first policy back in 1910. So we are basically 108 years old this year. We started out as a stock company, but we mutualized during the Depression because the original owners who put us together, for some reason, needed their money back. So they decided to demutualize the company, and we're glad they did that, because we like being a mutual, because a mutual really exists for the benefit of its policy owners, not for the benefit of stockholders. And we think that's really a good thing. It certainly makes our lives a little bit easier, because we don't have to worry about quarterly earnings reports and things like that companies that report to Wall Street have to do. We focused on the senior market starting back in the 90s. We used to be a company that sold, or tried to sell anyway, everything to everybody. You name it. If it was insurance, we probably sold it. But the problem was we weren't big enough to really be competitive with a lot of the big boys in the market. And so we decided that in order to survive, we were going to have to become what I'll call a niche company. And we primarily decided that our niche was going to be senior products. We do have nationwide distribution. We are now in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And what we have is a wholesale distribution approach. We work with marketing partners or representatives to recruit, train, and manage the agents, help us develop the best approaches to market our products, and quite honestly, help us develop new products and services. We've been a leader. Our number one product is pre-need. For those of you who may not be familiar with pre-need, what that is when somebody goes to a funeral home and actually plans out their funeral and then funds it in advance, usually in exchange for a guaranteed price using insurance. We are probably the first or second largest pre-need company now, which is pretty remarkable considering we only got into business in the late 90s. What we're going to talk about today, though, is AssetGuard. AssetGuard is a similar product, but the difference here is people are setting aside money for their funeral expenses, but they don't have to go down to the funeral home and pick out goods and services. And increasingly, we find that people don't want to do that. People understand that they do need to set aside money for funeral expenses because they're going to have them. Like it or not, we're all going to have them. But they don't want to go down to the funeral home. So unfortunately, though, what happens more and more is then people do nothing. And to be quite honest with you, that's the worst possible thing they could do, because that leaves their family holding the bag when they pass away. A little bit about our company financially to make you feel secure that you're representing a solid organization. We've grown the assets to $4.3 billion as of the end of last year. To put that in perspective, when I joined the company back in 2000, assets had just reached $1 billion. You can see we have plenty of capital in surplus, so we can certainly pay every claim. Policies in force, we've grown to over 1.2 million policy owners now. We're very proud of that. We do have an AM Best rating of A-, which puts us in the excellent category. One thing that I think is really important is, why do we exist? We exist, to be quite honest, to pay claims, to try to make a very bad day for people just a little bit better anyway, because they don't have to worry about the financial aspects of paying for their funeral. And last year we paid out over $330 million in death benefits. And probably something that's important to all of you, because this is your business, we also paid out over $140 million in commissions. Now, one thing that's helped NGL become successful over all these years is service. Back when we decided to get into the pre-need business in the late 90s and early 2000s and really become a national player, we had to figure out what we were going to hang our hat on. And we weren't going to hang our hat on being the lowest premium or the highest commission company. We just weren't going to do that, because that's kind of a losing game in the long run. So what could we build ourselves on? And we decided that it was going to be service. So we take service very, very seriously here. We have service stats. We publish them every quarter. We monitor just about every metric you can imagine. And when we're not within that metric, we take steps to fix it. But as you can see there, we do pretty well. We answer 90.7% of our calls within 30 seconds. One thing that's really important to know is that we pay our claims on the product we're going to talk about today. We pay those claims within 2 business days. I think it says 48 hours up there, but you have to remember there's weekends in there. So what we're supposed to say is that we pay them within 2 business days, and we do 98.76% of the time. Now, what's really interesting about that is that in most states, we pay those death claims within 2 business days without a death certificate, unlike most life insurance. The other thing we do within 2 business days is we issue our policies, and you can see there that we do over 94% within 48 hours. That's about as good as we're going to do. And the reason is because I know you find this hard to believe, but sometimes we do get in paperwork that isn't quite complete. And so we have to double back with you to collect some missing information. So that keeps us from getting to 100, but still almost 95% is pretty darn good. So I just want to emphasize that service is literally our business. So now let's talk about why people buy life insurance. They buy it to protect their family. They do it because it's the responsible thing to do. And the last one, it may be cliche, it may be overused, but the reality is, especially in the product that we're talking about here, it does provide peace of mind for people, knowing that their final expenses will not be a burden on their family. So what do people use life insurance for? To cover burial and final expenses is number one. Okay, 84% of people surveyed, that's why they buy it. They also buy it to replace lost wages and income. Our product doesn't take care of that particular need, and it also helps people to transfer wealth and leave an inheritance. Another reason people buy is because leaving money behind is important. Okay, and baby boomers are a very generous group, and that's who we're talking about here, by the way. We're talking about people that are over age 70, baby boomers. I might as well make that point now. When you're thinking of your client base or even prospects, this product really doesn't work for people that are under age 70. It just doesn't. Okay, where it really starts to hit home is when people age out over 70, and why is that? Well, because at 70 on up, people start thinking about, oh, I do need to do something about my final expenses or my end of life expenses. And part of the reason they think that is because perhaps they have some ailment that they've been diagnosed with, or they're losing people around them, people that are close to them, friends and family, right? So it brings that whole mortality thing home just a little bit. And also another thing is they, especially when they get into their upper 70s, and they've been retired now for, I don't know, 10 years, 13 years, whatever, they've figured out how much money they need to live on and how much money they can afford to perhaps leave behind. But they have to age out to that space in order for it to resonate. So that's why I caution you that this product really is intended for people over age 70. And those are baby boomers, okay? Baby boomers are aging into that space, by the second. And you can see that a couple of years ago when we did some research, we found out that baby boomers contribute almost $62 billion a year. So what does this all mean? It means that there's opportunity. People want to buy insurance because they want to take care of these expenses. But there's another reason why this is a great opportunity. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob, and he's going to tell you a little bit about that.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Bob, and I work with NGL kind of in a marketing capacity. And what I wanted to talk with you a little bit this morning about is what the overall opportunity looks like and why it's important.
We're going to skip over this one.
Okay, we put this chart up because it shows live births in the United States from 1905 to 2005. And what it's designed to show is that the number of seniors in the market today is going to be high and growing just because of the number of live births between 1945 and 1965. The boomer generation is pretty much defined as those Americans born during that period. And there were a bunch of them. 73.2 million. I'm not sure that's dollars. I think it's more people. But I attended a marketing seminar several years ago that was done by a gentleman named Ken Gronbach. And Ken, in his presentation, Ken's a demographer, and he attempts to draw the correlation between the number of live births and how that affects the market as those individuals in those cohorts age through the age curve. In fact, the name of his book was the age curve. And so what's happening today is we're seeing these baby boomers start to turn 65, 70, and that's going to continue for a while. So the number of seniors today is high and growing. By 2030, about 1 in 5 Americans will be older than 65. And another view of how that's happening is more than 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every day and will continue to do so for the next 18 years. That's one person every 8 seconds is aging to age 65. And I guess 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? The first of the boomers started turning age 70, which is a landmark too, because there are things that happen with them and their savings plans when they turn 70. Just a few more boomer facts. 75 million were born between 46 and 64. The peak year for baby boomer births was 1957. 36 million will turn 65 over the next decade. 2017, there will be 50 million U.S. seniors. By 2050, 83 million. And an interesting fact that if all seniors held hands, they would stretch around the earth twice. And you talk about the baby boomers. I know a little bit about them and about the guys over 65 because I are one, so I can speak from experience. So what we're trying to say here is you're definitely in the right market. There's a huge opportunity right now as these folks start to age that they are worried about hanging on to what they've got, and we've got a product that I think will help you allow them to do that.
Skip that one too. What's the deal here?
Something here yeah, we're going to skip ahead just a little bit. Okay, what I mentioned that the baby boomers are concerned about outliving their assets and hanging on to what they've got. What we're seeing is as these boomers age, that they one of their big concerns is the fact that they may need long-term care assistance at some point in time. And what research has shown is that Medicaid is the primary provider of assistance for the long-term care. And with 51% of all long-term care costs being paid by Medicaid in 2013. And that trend will continue. And the folks needing to qualify for Medicaid are probably your single largest opportunity with the product that we're talking about. A traditional funeral is expensive, costs about $14,000 on average today. By setting aside the funds and knowing that nobody else is going to have to pay for your funeral, you're creating peace of mind. You don't have to make your actual funeral arrangements now with the AssetGuard product. You can set aside the funds, make the funeral arrangements at any point in the future, prior to your death, or even at death. Your loved ones can make the funeral arrangements. You don't have to select or even visit a funeral home. You can indicate that you may want to use this one, but you don't have to visit a funeral home to use this product. Carl, you want to take over?
Yeah, so you know, you say, oh, that's all well and good, but what does this mean to me? Well, what it means to you is that AssetGuard, which provides asset protection and the ability even in, we're not going to really talk about that too much today. We can talk about that at another time, but it also enables people to do an easy wealth transfer, you know, for a limited amount of money. But it presents a very lucrative opportunity for you and your practice. And it's the right product at the right time. As we've said, people want to buy insurance, and there is a boatload of people aging into the system who need to buy insurance. And both new and existing clients need this. I would imagine that the bulk of your Medicare clients haven't done anything to address this issue. People tend not to do anything to it until somebody presents them with the opportunity, or they actually age out. You know, the average age of somebody who does this on their own is in the upper 70s to near 80, because that's how old you have to get before you realize, you know, we should probably do something about this and not leave it to the kids. But they're thinking about it years in advance of that. They just don't do anything, and they don't know that there's any other option besides going down to the funeral home, and they don't want to do that, so they do nothing, which sometimes leaves people in a bad spot when they pass away. But they are thinking about it, but they need you to help them take that next step. And then as a bonus, I don't know that there's an easier product to sell than this. It's simple and it's easy to do, and it's easy for your clients to understand what it is you're doing. So let's take a peek at what AssetGuard is, okay, and this whole idea. It's asset protection for your clients. It's income protection or income potential for you. Now we're going to skip over that one too. Now, first thing we're going to do, before we talk about the product, let's talk about the trust. Now, the trust, when you place because here's what you do. You sell people a guaranteed issue life insurance policy, okay? There is a health question, but it's still guaranteed issue. Everybody that you sit down with, whether it's in your office or it's at their kitchen table, wherever it is, you're going to walk away with a sale. The difference is there's this one health question, and if they can answer that health question no, meaning they haven't, you know, they're not in the hospital, they're not in a nursing home, they're not on oxygen. If they can do that, then they're going to get a little bit more of an initial face amount, okay? And the truth is, you're going to get a little bit more commission as well. But even if they can't answer it no, you still are going to issue. They're just not going to get as much of what we call a bump as they would if they could say no, and there is a little bit less commission in it too. But what you do is you sell this life insurance policy, okay, which is just a one-page application, and then you place it into a trust. The trust is the real magic sauce of this whole thing. So let's talk about that. When you place the money in the trust, when it pays out, it's going to be income tax free. Okay? It's exempt from probate. This is huge because people want to avoid probate as much as they can, right? Well, by placing it into our funeral expense trust, it's going to be exempt from trust, which means it's going to be able to pay out immediately. It also, when it's inside the trust, is protected from creditors. Nobody can get at that money. Nobody. Other thing is, everybody qualifies for it. The funds are totally portable. Just Bob said it in an earlier slide. You don't pick out a funeral home, or even if you do, you're not obligated to use that one. The key is it's totally portable. So people place this money aside, right? They buy the policy, they place it in the trust, and then they can go to any funeral home anywhere in the United States and use it. Hold on a second. Why don't you go back for a second? Again, the trust is totally free. It's offered as a value add from NGL. That's not a small detail. If you were to set up your own trust, or your client was to do that, it could cost you anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. So this truly is a value added. Okay, it can be used in addition to any other trust people may have. Sometimes the beneficiary of the trust is another trust. It's simple to use. It just takes one more piece of paper. So there's a one-page application, there's a one-page trust assignment form, and you're done. That's it. And the trust does provide, that cliche again, but it does provide peace of mind, which truly is priceless. Okay, so we've already covered that part, so we can move on. Okay, so who is the client for this product? Okay, when you think about all your clients and your prospects, okay, the client for the funeral expense trust, which is what we're talking about today, okay, is somebody who may need Medicaid, either real soon, okay, like a crisis situation, which sadly is a lot of our business, or someone who may need to qualify within the next 5 years based on the amount of assets that they have and their likely deteriorating health situation. And they're concerned with having enough money set aside to cover those funeral expenses, because as you know, Medicaid will make you spend down just about everything you have. I mean, all you can have for Medicaid is a $1,500 life insurance policy, cash value anyway. So they want to set aside enough funds to cover a funeral. So what do? Well, you've got the solution. It's simple. You sell them an AssetGuard policy for as much as they want to set aside, which in most states is $15,000, but there are some state exceptions. And then you place it into the funeral expense trust. And it's like a lockbox, to use that overused term, but it's safe. It's going to be there until the time it's needed. And then once it's needed, the family takes it down to the funeral home. The funeral director is going to ask in that first conference. It's going to come up real soon in that conference, the arrangement conference they call it. He or she's going to ask, how are you going to pay for this today? And all you do is present this policy to them, and we're good. Because they know, every funeral home in America knows who we are. They may not use us. I mean, we're realists. We realize we don't have every funeral home, but they know, they're familiar with who we are, and they know they're going to get paid within 2 business days. So they like that. So the trust may also be exempt as an asset under Medicaid. In fact, in most states, it is exempt as an asset. That's why you do it. Let's say you took $10,000. You buy an AssetGuard policy and you place it into the trust. It's locked away, and that enables people to qualify for Medicaid. So what happens to us a lot is people will buy a policy and then turn right around and take that policy, or at least the application and the trust assignment form, and when they meet with the caseworker, they'll show it to them, and the caseworker will see that, oh, okay, you've properly transferred $10,000 into a burial trust. We won't count that against you. Again, as I said, you can set aside up to 15 grand in most states. Some other states have some smaller limits, unfortunately. And sometimes those limits are so low that it kind of dooms people to not much of a choice on what they can do. They end up probably having to do a cremation, which is too bad. How the trust works is it's going to pay funeral costs first, and then if there's any excess left over, it's going to pay that out to the estate of the insured. I can tell you that most funeral directors are pretty creative, and they will make sure that the family spends all of it. And part of the reason for that is because the family's probably not going to get it back if the client had gone on medical assistance, because the state has the right of recovery. That's why we have to name the estate as the beneficiary and not a person, because in order to make the thing pass muster with the state Medicaid departments, they have to see that they have the right to recover up to their interest anything that's left over. Well, once a family knows that they can't get that money back, they tend to spend it on the funeral. So again, talking about the funeral expense trust, it is for people who need to qualify for Medicaid, either right away or within the next 5 years. There's no cost to it. Again, as I said earlier, it pays out within 2 business days, and you can see where the excess goes. We've covered that. But see that little chart there? That tells you all the states that have different limits. And then, unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, the trust isn't available in a handful of states. Florida, which is really unfortunate, because there's a lot, as you can imagine, there's a lot of potential clients in Florida, but unfortunately we don't have the trust available there. It's also not available in Massachusetts, Michigan, Nevada, or Texas at the moment, but we're working on that. Okay, so we had come up recently with a video, very short video, to try to explain to consumers, which is good to use in a presentation with consumers, honestly. A very short video, just to give them an overview without getting too heavy into what it's all about. So we'd like to show that to you now. Well, this is the wrong one, though. Where's the other one?
Sorry about that. This is
Yeah,
this is an example of
yeah. We can send you the one that's designed for the funeral expense trust. We apologize. We somehow put the wrong trust video into this presentation.
but it works well too.
It also works, and some of these points are still valid.
Okay, we're just going to skip over that.
No, go back to that one.
Okay.
All right. So we found over the years that people are visual learners. I assume some of you are too. So, and we found this little chart to be very helpful because it really shows you graphically how this whole process works, because it's so simple, right? You take a life insurance policy, all right? You buy a life insurance policy. Now, here's a really important point. You're not using, in most cases for your clients, you're not using new money. Okay, this is money they already have. You're not asking them to dig in their pocket. They have the money. Maybe it's in the bank, in a CD, in a money market. Maybe it's part of an annuity they can pull out penalty free, or a big source of funding is 1035 exchanges of existing paid up life insurance policies. And you take that and you put it into an AssetGuard. Immediately you assign that to our irrevocable trust. It's going to increase in value. It does have an increasing death benefit. Okay, it's going to grow. It's going to be tax free until the time of need, and then we're going to pay the claim within 2 business days. And as you can see, we're going to pay the funeral provider within 2 days, and then we're going to pay out the excess. It's really simple. And you show that chart to one of your clients, and we have materials that show those things. They really do grasp it quickly. So let's talk about the product that we've been mentioning here periodically. The product has a minimum face of $500. We hope you don't sell too many of those on the single pay. On the 3, 5, 7, and 10-year plans, which to be quite honest, we don't sell very many of that. About 5 to 7% of our policies are time pay. Again, because most of this is just an asset transfer. You're taking existing money and you're moving it into a life insurance policy. But sometimes people don't have that lump sum to give us, but they still want to accomplish the same goal, so we offer a time pay plan. On that one, the minimum's $2,500. The maximum face is $100,000. And the reason that is because we do have this other trust, which we kind of hinted at, and we apologize for that, because we weren't going to talk about that today. But that trust is designed for asset, what I call wealth transfer. And when we're talking about wealth, we're talking about middle America wealth, and so that's why we put a limit of $100,000 on it. There is a time pay component, again, and that maximum is $35,000. We do have an increasing death benefit, as we told you before, and what that is that it grows daily. We apply growth. It's simple interest, not compound, but we apply it daily. That's because people don't die on their anniversary dates. They don't die on the quarter, and so we want to credit growth on that policy right up until the date of death. You can see that on single pay, it goes up to age 99. And that's important. You have a lot of these people over 70. It's tough for them to get insurance of any kind once they get to that point. But with this product, they can get it up to age 99 because remember, it is essentially a guaranteed issue product. 3 years goes up to 90, 5, 85, and 7 and 10 is up to 80. Again, I mentioned that there is one health question. We call that, if you can answer that no, we call that standard issue. Again, what does that mean? It means you get a little bit more of an initial face amount, which obviously means you're going to get a little bit more death benefit, and there are higher commissions for that. Guaranteed issue means you answered that one health question no, I mean yes, or you just flat out refuse to answer it, which happens. We can still issue, okay? It's just that you're going to get a little bit less face amount coming out of the gate. And then, unfortunately for you, there's going to be a little bit less commission too. So we talk about the death benefit on single pay, all single pay, and then the standard issue time pays. They're going to have an immediate full death benefit, which will likely be, well, it will be more than what they paid in because remember, it grows from day one of issue. On the guaranteed issue, okay, and on multi-pay, they're going to have a modified or the guaranteed issue multi-pay, I should say, they're going to have a modified death benefit as it shows there. Year one, it's return of premium plus 3%, which is still more than you'd get on that money in the bank. Year two, you get 70% of face. And on day one of year three, you get the full death benefit plus the growth that's accumulated during that time. So where do you start on this deal? You say, okay, I kind of get it. People want to set aside money for their funeral expenses. They want to protect it. They don't want to go to the funeral home. They put it in a trust. I get all that. But what do I do? Well, the best place for new business is old business. You've heard that expression. It's true. So you start with your current client base because I bet you that the bulk of them, if any, haven't done anything about this yet. So you can talk to them at their annual financial review, discuss recent life changes. Another thing you can do, we have letters you can send with brochures that address the subject. What you do there is you kind of determine, you know your clients, so you determine, well, what are they? You know, what's their need? And then you send them the appropriate letter and brochure. And then the most important part is within 5 to 7 days, you call behind it and set up an appointment, which you then make for 5 to 7 days after that. As for referrals, you know, that's an easy way to get business, but I also know that most people don't do it. In fact, you see that little stat up there from Dale Carnegie, that 91% of the people will give them, but only 14% of people ask for them. And then after you've worked your current client base, you say, I got to find new prospects. How do you do that? Seminars. Seminars are a very, very effective way to bring in clients. You don't have to take them to dinner. It's not like a big financial planning thing. You could have lunch, or you could just have snacks in the afternoon. Okay? It doesn't have to be that grand. It just needs to be, you have to have a little something, but you bring them together and you talk about this subject. And we have materials to help you to recruit the prospects and then what to do when you get them in the room. Partner with other financial professionals. I tell you what, some of our most successful people, agents, okay, they've partnered with people who aren't licensed, like attorneys and estate planners. And when they're putting together the estate plan or the financial plan for the client, they actually say, oh, we've got to cover their end of life expenses too. So I'm going to refer you to, Joe Smith, who can help you with that. And then network with elder care professionals. I mean, these social workers, people in nursing homes, they are right in front of the very clients who need this. So get to know them. Have them get to know you, and then they think of you as a resource. And when they're talking to families, they say, hey, one of the things you need to do is you need to meet with Joe Smith, who can help you take care of your end of life expenses easily and quickly. A lot of people say, well, I don't know how to approach my clients, or how do I even bring up this subject? It's not that hard. Again, as I said before, people are thinking about this. They're just not doing anything about it because they think the only option to take care of their end of life expenses is to go to the funeral home, and they don't want to do that. So they do nothing. Well, so once you bring it up, trust me, they'll be off to the races. And so these are some questions that people have used, I've seen used face-to-face in real life over the last 18 years, right? I know the first one sounds a little harsh, but actually, it actually works. If you had died yesterday, how would your family pay your funeral costs today? Then if you ask them that and they say, well, I have money, well, then you ask them, well, you set it aside. Yeah, it's in the bank. Okay, well, first of all, it's not earning much in the way of interest, is it? But the other thing is, it's a vulnerable asset. If they ever need to qualify for Medicaid, they're going to have to spend it down. If they get sued, they could lose that money. So even though they have the money set aside, take that money and put it into an AssetGuard, put it into the trust, and now you've protected that asset for them. And the last one is one that a very big customer of ours uses all the time with their clients, because the way their practice works, they work with clients for years and years, decades. And they've said this. I've been with them when they say this, that over the years we've worked together to plan a lot of events. But one thing we've never talked about is how to cover your end-of-life expenses. And the reason we haven't talked about it is because I didn't have a product that could help you with that, but now I do. It's called AssetGuard from National Guardian Life, and I'd like to talk to you about that. It works. And you can make up your own intros, of course, but these are just some guidelines or just some ideas. So again, one of the challenges is once you convince the client that this is a good thing to do for them and for their family, you've got to find the money. Because as we said, this is an existing asset. They just need to move it from wherever it is. Well, these are the places that the money's at. Okay, it's in that paid up life insurance policy. It's in a CD earning squad at the bank. It's actually in checking accounts. I'm sure you've run into this. It is amazing how much money elderly people keep in their checking account. I'm just amazed at it. They can take part of an annuity penalty free. They've got money in savings, again, earning nothing, or money markets earning nothing. Okay, so you help the client find the money they already have and then move it into an AssetGuard policy. And again, we mentioned 1035 exchanges. I can't tell you how much of the business is 1035s. It's a very easy process. We have a whole kit. See, all of our paperwork comes in an application packet. Everything you need to write a case is all going to be in that envelope. We actually have an envelope just for 1035 exchanges. Has all the paperwork you need to do that. Once you turn that paperwork into us, it's on us to get the money. You are done. Okay? You don't have to chase it. We do. And we chase it on a regular basis. We're pretty good at it. The one thing I will tell you about when you do a 1035 exchange, though, is that we can't issue the policy until we receive the funds from the other carrier. And some carriers are real good. They give us that money, within weeks, certainly within 30 days. Other carriers are a little bit more reluctant to let go of their money. And so sometimes it can take as long as 6 months, although that is an outlier. But I would say a couple months easy, you can plan on. So why sell this product? Okay? Because the opportunity is there. People have this need, and the amount of people that have this need is growing by the second. It is an excellent income potential for you. That's something that Messer can share with you. It provides easy asset protection for your clients. Remember, it's only 2 pieces of paper, an app and a trust assignment form. It does have an increasing tax-free death benefit. You avoid probate. That's a big deal. And as I said, well, I'll say it again, because it's such a big deal, it only takes 2 pieces of paper.
I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about, we talked about our award-winning customer service, and I wanted to talk about what other forms of support we have through NGL, because we're here for you, we're here to support you. And we have all forms of communication that we're sending out on a regular basis to inform you about the product. We, especially as you're brought on as a new agent, and we keep you up to date on state laws. We send you great marketing tips as far as how to market and sell the product. We have a whole host of brochures to explain the product to the customers. And we have our dedicated life support team, which we talked about before with their support. We have a whole suite of brochures, and we update them frequently. We want to make sure that they explain the product and the trust as best as possible. And it's just a perfectly behind. And as Carl said, you could go ahead and mail these, a week ahead of time, have people look them over, get a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about, and then meet with them. We also have our web portal. Just about every question I've ever been asked has been available on the web portal in one form or another. You can look up policy information. You can break down your production and all sorts of reporting in any way you want. We also have supplies where you can print off PDF copies or fill out the PDFs right on the website, submit applications on the website, and we have marketing support there as well. Any agent information, we have frequently asked questions. We also have a rate calculator you can use right on the website. You can download that rate calculator to your smartphone, your desktop, so you could be offline if you wanted to and still use it. There is claims information, training videos, and more. And here's an example of some of those videos. We have videos that both help you fill out the paperwork, explain the product to an agent, but also we have videos that you can just show to families and explain the product a little bit better. And every year for the top producers, we send people on what we call our producer circle, which is just this great opportunity to get everybody together and talk about the products and talk a way of NGL saying thank you for you guys doing a great job.
We just had the trip in Punta Cana, very, very successful. I think we had a total of around 100 people there. And next year we're going to Jamaica, as it says up there. So if you have questions, you need to know more, I wouldn't be surprised if you do. You need help, just call us. The 800 number up there. The Life Product team is dedicated to this product. They know it backwards and forwards, and they're more than accommodating. So please don't hesitate to call them or email them at lifeproductsupport@nglic.com. Oops.
All right.
Take it off. Okay. And then lastly, Bob, tell them how you can help them out.
Yeah, I'm here to support you guys in your needs for ongoing marketing support. We have ways to kind of do a forum to share best practices. I learn a lot about what's going on across the spectrum of agents who are marketing this product. As I come up with those new ideas, I'm here to share them with you. We can help you with developing a marketing approach. If you want to work with us and kind of define who your client base is, we can help you develop a strategy and approach for reaching those clients or new clients. And then we can also support you with any marketing campaigns you want to do. We've got some email support that we can provide, and we can help with direct marketing support through mail campaigns or whatever it is you might need. my contact information. We'll get that to you. The slide that had that on there wasn't there, so I'll get that out through Micah. And I think that brings us to a close. I think the product's a great opportunity and a really great and growing market. So hopefully it can work for you.
That's great, guys. I hope everybody here is starting to put together some places with their current book of business on where this product can fit in. Obviously, as you can see, there's a place basically for everyone, no matter what the income level is. I don't know if you guys saw, but it goes up to age 99 for a single premium. I don't know how many life products you know out there, but for a 99-year-old on a single premium to be approved, that's pretty outstanding. The one thing when someone passes that they don't want to leave on their family is the burden of not only financial, but also where do those finances need to go? So if you can set up a funeral trust, that pretty much eliminates any kind of confusion as to where that money needs to be allocated. It's already taken care of. So, when a loved one passes away, the last thing they want to do is try to set up that the payments with the funeral home. Well, this is already taken care of, so it's one less thing that they have to worry about. So a great product. We do have a few questions here, though, I wanted to throw at you guys. One of them was, how do we get an illustration for these products? Where can we quote this?
Well, that's a great question. The product is not an illustrated product, so there are no illustrations. And part of that reason for that is the growth is discretionary. It's not guaranteed, so there isn't a need to illustrate it. And so the answer is we don't have illustration software. We never have. Part of that is because the product is so simple. I guess if you wanted to show people, if it was sold at 1.75, simple, you just figure out what 1.75% interest is on, say, $10,000, and it's the same every year. You just keep adding it on and adding it on. But we don't. You can use the calculator to find out what the premium is and what the initial face amount will be, but we don't have any ability to show people what it's going to grow to. And we can't. And I'll tell you what, legal gets all over us if we even get near the word illustration because it isn't filed as an illustrated product.
Gotcha. You had mentioned there was one health question. What is that one health question that the client must answer?
Well, the health question, it asks you if you're if you're hospitalized or in a nursing home, if you're terminal, or if you're on oxygen. And then it also says during the last 2 years, we only have a 2-year look-back period, which a lot of companies have a longer look-back period than that. Like a lot of them have 5 years. But have you been diagnosed or treated for any of the following conditions? And there's 14 different conditions, including heart disease and COPD and things like that. It's a very simple health question. It's very easy to answer yes or no. I can tell you that over 60% of all the business we do, whether it's AssetGuard or pre-need, people are able to answer that health question no, even though the average age is in the 70s. So the bulk of the business is going to be issued as standard. Like I said, though, it's just a very, very simple health question. The big one is, are you in the hospital or the nursing home or terminal?
Gotcha.
And we can send you that. We can send you that health question. Well, basically, you know what we should do? I don't know if you have it or not, because you guys were there. Did you give them an application?
We left them with application.
Okay, it's right on the application there. Okay. Oh, a PDF too? Yeah, okay.
One of the questions was, can we get a copy of these slides? Now, I can say that this webinar will be posted on our website at messerfinancial.com under the Messer Learning Center, but I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to add to that.
Well, what I'd like to do, and I'm going to apologize here, we had worked up the presentation a little bit differently than what you saw today. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. We had some slides in there that obviously weren't appropriate. So what I'd like to do, Micah, is send you the one that we, for lack of a better term, the one we intended to show this morning.
Mm-hmm.
that's the one I'd like you to post out there if you do that.
Sure, we can send out everybody who attended the webinar the updated one, just so that they can, or the slides, so that they can have that for themselves once you have that available.
Yeah, no, we have it. We'll send it this morning.
Perfect.
Unless you want, the only thing is it would be lacking the I guess the narration, if you will.
Right. It's completely up to you, however you want to do it, but we will absolutely make sure to get you whatever information that you need. One of the other questions was, what products are available in Texas?
And in Texas, the products available, the funeral expense trust is not available in Texas. We're having a fight with the state of Texas right now. Their regulations show that it is perfectly within their statutes, but within the Medicaid department, there is disagreement on that. So we're engaged in a ongoing, shall we say, discussion. So right now, only our other trust is available, which we really didn't cover today. That's our estate planning trust, and that's the one that wouldn't be exempt from Medicaid for 5 years. So the product's available. So what people do in Texas is they sell it as beneficiary only. They don't even assign it to the trust. We've taken quite a hit in Texas since Texas outlawed that doesn't sound right, does it? But they prohibited, how about that? They prohibited the funeral expense trust for the time being.
So a lot of our...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so Texas isn't a great market for us at the moment.
Sure. A lot of our agents are getting into, there's a big opportunity with the Medicaid, Medicare market for Medicare Advantage, the dual market. And there's a lot of out there that are right on that border of being able to qualify for Medicaid. They do not want to lose their benefits. Does this product help? Can this product help them in maintaining their Medicaid benefits?
Well, see, that's really a challenge. If the people are already, this product's really designed to get to people before they need to qualify for Medicaid,
Gotcha.
Right? And to help them qualify by spending down their assets. If they've already qualified, that means they've spent them down already, right? So then where? Go ahead.
So for those that are close to the line of whether they qualify for Medicaid or not, that are actually over the line, this will be a great product for them, because then they can end up receiving Medicaid benefits.
If they're getting close to the line, this product is perfect, because they can, whatever it is that's got them over the line, they can put into this and then immediately qualify.
So for those guys out there that have clients that are looking to spend down to get to that Medicaid level, this would be an ideal product for them in assisting in that avenue. That's great to know.
Half the business we sell, Micah, is people trying to qualify for Medicaid.
Perfect. Is $10,000 the maximum funeral trust in North Carolina?
No, it's $15,000 in North Carolina. Plus, North Carolina has that quickie.
They can have $10,000 of whole life insurance.
They can also have a $10,000 whole life insurance policy too, separate from that. It's the only state like that. Lucky you.
I'm looking here. Let's see. So obviously this plan would be available in North Carolina. And what about South Carolina?
Yes, sir. It is available.
Same way there. Okay.
Yep. Again, the product itself is available everywhere. It's just that it's the trust that's not available everywhere.
Gotcha.
I think, what do we got now? 6 states that don't have it. Yeah. And we are working diligently to get those other states that have rebuffed us, but it's a very slow process, as you can imagine. Sometimes it involves having to go to the legislature, which is just a nightmare.
Yeah. Can you put the phone number back up, the last slide I think you had? Or maybe the one right before it? Yeah, that one. Thank you. What is the max for South Carolina? Do you know?
It's 15.
15? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that looks like it's pretty much all the questions. What about, one more question. What about for Georgia?
Georgia's 15 too.
Georgia's 15 as well.
Georgia's 15 as well? Terrific. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all the questions there are. Obviously, you can always contact us at Messer directly, or you can call the Life Product Support line, whatever's easiest for you for questions. Like I said, we're going to get out some additional information to anybody who attended this webinar. We appreciate everybody's time. We hope that you were able to take some useful information. I think this is a great fit, especially for everything that's going on right now in the Medicare markets, also combo sell. As you see, like I said, it pretty much fits anybody at any financial level. But again, any additional questions, give us a call at Messer Financial. You can reach us at 704-568-9649. You can speak to one of the marketers, myself, producer support. Anybody is here to help you. So, and again, we will send out additional information. So we appreciate all your time. And if you wanted to add anything,
hey, Micah?
else, yes.
Mike, I had one more thing. We did a little checking here, and I have to eat some crow here. It turns out that Georgia is only 10,000.
10,000 in Georgia. Got it. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I'm sorry. The other states were correct at 15, but Georgia's 10,000. I just want to correct that misperception there.
We appreciate that. Well, I appreciate everybody's time again, spending it with us. Hope everyone has a great day, and thank you again to NGL for partnering with us. The appointment is now on SuranceBase, so we just added them. So if you're interested and you want to know more, or you want to market this product, please market it and request your appointment on our SuranceBase. So again, thank you everybody, and have a great day.
All right, thank you everyone.